At 1:38 in the morning on Monday, May 4th, 2026, Kīlauea stopped waiting. Precursory low-level activity for episode 46 of the ongoing Halemaʻumaʻu eruption began around 1:38 a.m. HST on May 4th with lava overflowing from the north vent. NPR, not fountaining, not the 1 to 770-foot columns of liquid rock that the south vent produced during episode 43, not the 16,000-foot ash plume of episode 44, not yet, something quieter. Something the people monitoring the webcams in the dark saw first. Lava, slow, glowing, methodical, spilling over the rim of the north vent and spreading across the crater floor below it. That is what precursory activity looks like. It is the volcano clearing its throat. It is the 12 to 14 hours, sometimes days, that precede the moment when the gas pressure in the magma chamber exceeds the resistance of the vent system and the fountain fires. The USGS Hawaiian Volcano Observatory raised the alert level for Kilauea from advisory to watch, and the aviation color code from yellow to orange at 1:50 p.m. HST on May 4th. The forecast for episode 46, lava fountaining to start, is between May 4th and May 7th. NPR episode 46 has begun. But here is what has not been reported yet about this specific episode that makes it different from every one of the 45 that came before it. The wind is changing, and it is changing toward communities that have not been in the path of a single episode yet. At 1:38 in the morning on Monday, May 4th, 2026, Kīlauea stopped waiting. Precursory low-level activity for episode 46 of the ongoing Halemaʻumaʻu eruption began around 1:38 a.m. HST on May 4th with lava overflowing from the north vent. NPR not fountaining, not the 1,170-foot columns of liquid rock that the south vent produced during episode 43, not the 16,000-foot ash plume of episode 44, not yet. Something quieter. Something the people monitoring the webcams in the dark saw first. Lava, slow, glowing, methodical, spilling over the rim of the north vent and spreading across the crater floor below it. That is what precursory activity looks like. It is the volcano clearing its throat. It is the 12 to 14 hours, sometimes days, that precede the moment when the gas pressure in the magma chamber exceeds the resistance of the vent system and the fountain fires. The USGS Hawaiian Volcano Observatory raised the alert level for Kīlauea from advisory to watch, and the aviation color code from yellow to orange at 1:50 p.m. HST on May 4th. The forecast for episode 46, lava fountaining to start, is between May 4th and May 7th. NPR, episode 46, has begun. But here is what has not been reported yet about this specific episode that makes it different from every one of the 45 that came before it. The wind is changing. And it is changing toward communities that have not been in the path of a single episode yet. First, where the volcano stands right now in numbers. During episode 45, the Wekahuna tilt meter recorded about 0 microradians of deflationary tilt. Since the end of episode 45, UWD has recorded a total of 2 microradians of inflationary tilt. The tilt meter is recording positive tilt at a consistent rate of between 0. There's 5 and 0, 1 microradians every hour. Wildfire Explorer 13, 2 recovered. 16, 0 needed. The chamber is 82, 5% recharged as of the most recent update. At 0.05 to 0, 1 microradians per hour, the remaining 2. 8 microradians takes between 28 and 56 hours to recover fully, which places the main fountaining episode, the high-intensity phase where the gas piston fires and the fountain height reaches its maximum, squarely in the Tuesday through Thursday window. The NWS is flagging for the wind shift. That timing is not a coincidence. It is tilt meter arithmetic colliding with meteorology. And the collision produces a specific scenario that the USGS, the NWS, and the Hawaii County Civil Defense are all now tracking simultaneously. Hawaii County Civil Defense issued an alert message stating that light trade winds are forecast for the next several days, and that residents near Hawaii Volcanoes National Park should be prepared for varying levels of ash, Pelly's hair, and other lightweight tephra that may fall downwind of the eruption. The watchers, downwind. The word everything depends on. Downwind of a summit eruption during trade winds means southwest. Downwind of a summit eruption during sea breezes and land breezes means something else entirely. Here is what changes when the trade winds weaken. Trade winds are the dominant wind pattern of the Central Pacific. Driven by the pressure gradient between the subtropical high and the equatorial low, they blow consistently from the northeast across the Hawaiian Islands for most of the year. They are the most reliable wind in the world. Sailors use them for centuries to cross the Pacific. The Hawaiian climate is organized around them. Everything about the Big Island's weather, its wet windward side, its dry leeward side, its microclimate gradients, is a product of trade wind geography. When trade winds weaken, that organizing principle collapses. Local effects take over. During the day, the sun heats the land faster than the ocean, and air flows from the sea toward the shore, the sea breeze. At night, the land cools faster than the ocean, and air flows from land toward the sea, the land breeze. VOG typically pushes south and west on prevailing trade winds during eruption episodes. Recent episodes have sent tephra toward visitor overlooks and into communities in the Kona coast direction, Axios. That is the 45 episode pattern. Southwest, Kona. The direction that has defined every tephra corridor, every air quality advisory, every school closure in this eruption sequence. The NWS specifically warned, if an eruption occurs during the period of weakened trade winds, onshore sea breezes during the day could carry tephra, ash, and Pele's hair toward communities northeast of the summit. Offshore land breezes at night could carry emissions in the opposite direction, toward the ocean, but also back toward summit area communities, the watchers northeast of the summit. The direction toward Volcano Village, toward Hilo, Hawaii's second largest city with a population of 45,000, toward the communities along Highway 11 that have sat in the clear air of the trade wind shadow for every previous episode. And the direction the sea breeze points during the day, during the hours when episode 46's main fountaining is most likely to be producing its peak SO2, its peak tephra, its maximum ash output, directly into a populated corridor that has had 45 episodes to develop a false sense of immunity. Here is the detail that should stop you cold. The north vent is the active vent right now. It was the north vent that produced the precursory overflow at 1:38 a.m. It is the north vent that is currently producing the low-level lava activity that elevated the alert to orange. Episode 45's aviation notice documented fountain heights of 500 to 1,500 feet above ground level, with plumes up to 10,000 to 25,000 feet above sea level as typical for peak fountaining. Episode 45's plume reached 15,000 feet above sea level and moved southwest. Volcanic ash fallout was documented in the southwest direction downwind of the vents. Georgia Forestry commissioned southwest, every time, because of the trade winds. Now consider what a 15,000-foot plume moving northeast toward Hilo on a sea breeze during peak daytime heating on a Tuesday deposits on a community that has never been inside a tephra corridor, Pele's hair. The volcanic glass strands so fine they float in air for miles, so sharp they cause skin and eye irritation on contact, so lightweight that they accumulate invisibly on surfaces, on car hoods, on window screens, in air conditioning units, in the lungs of anyone outdoors without a mask, reticulite. The volcanic pumice fragments light enough to be carried for tens of miles, heavy enough to feel on your skin when they land. Ash, the finest particles, PM2, 5-scale volcanic glass, that penetrate respiratory systems and trigger asthma attacks at concentrations far lower than what most people would recognize as dangerous. Pele's hair has been spotted in communities near the park during recent episodes. Exposure to Pele's hair and other volcanic fragments causes skin and eye irritation. Even when the eruption is paused, off-gassing continues and emissions remain high. Safety measures are paramount, particularly for those engaged in outdoor activities near the park. CNBC, that was during trade wind episodes, moving southwest, away from Hilo. Episode 46 is building during the window when that corridor reverses. Here's the story nobody is telling about what is physically inside Halemaʻumaʻu crater right now, and what it means for what episode 46 is erupting into. In 2018, the Kilauea summit caldera collapsed. The crater floor dropped roughly 1,600 feet, a vertical descent equivalent to a 130-story building falling downward in a matter of weeks. Halemaʻumaʻu, which had been the location of a persistent lava lake for years, was transformed into a crater nearly half a mile deep. Since December 2020, several summit eruptions within Halemaʻumaʻu have been slowly filling the collapsed area. Since December 23, 2024, the episodic eruption from 2 vents has continued adding lava to the crater floor with each of the 46 episodes. CBS News, 46 episodes of lava filling the void that the 2018 collapse created, 46 pores of liquid rock, each one laying a new layer on the solidified surface of the previous ones. The crater floor is rising. How much? Each episode adds volume that scientists track through photogrammetry, drone-based elevation measurements that map the growing surface in precise detail. The USGS released a satellite imagery update on April 30th, showing changes to the Kīlauea summit region. The tephra field south of the caldera, the field that has buried the access road to the SDH tilt meter and has buried Crater Rim Drive entirely, is deep enough to require specialized access. The crater that was 1,600 feet deep in 2018 is being rebuilt one episode at a time, from the bottom up, and episode 46 is about to add its layer. But the rising floor also concentrates the lava within a shrinking vertical space. The vents are no longer erupting into a vast empty bowl. They are erupting into a crater that is increasingly full, which changes the physics of how lava spreads, how gas escapes, and how the fountain itself behaves when the pressure finally releases. Here is what is not making headlines. The SDH tilt meter is still offline. Several summit stations, including the SDH tilt meter, will remain offline until scientists are able to reestablish access across the deep tephra field south of the caldera. Georgia Emergency Management. This has been the situation since at least episode 43, 3 full episodes ago. The tephra field that has accumulated from 43 prior episodes has buried the road that USGS scientists use to reach their own instrument, and it has not been cleared. The episode 46 forecast is being made from 1 tilt meter, the Wekahuna station, instead of 2. Every previous eruption forecast in this cycle that achieved the 4-day precision window that the USGS has become known for was based on a network of instruments. Right now, the network is running at half capacity for the summit's primary measurement. That matters specifically for episode 46 because of the wind change. The NWS special weather statement was issued because the atmospheric conditions during this episode's fountaining window are forecast to be categorically different from the 45 that preceded it. The more instrument data the scientists have, the more precisely they can narrow the onset timing, giving communities more hours of specific warning about when peak SO2 and tephra output will occur. With 1 tilt meter instead of 2, the forecast window is 4 days instead of potentially narrower. 4 days is the window. The wind shift arrives Tuesday through Thursday. And the communities northeast of the summit that have never been in the tephra corridor are making preparations, or not, based on a 4-day window issued with half the normal instrument capacity. The USGS will publish another volcanic activity notice when lava fountaining episode 46 begins in earnest. 3 signals will confirm the main episode has started: sustained lava fountaining from the north or south vent, a visible plume column rising from Halemaʻumaʻu, and a rapid drop in the Wekahuna tilt meter reading as magma drains from the summit reservoir. Axios 3 signals the community response: whether schools close, whether outdoor events are canceled, whether residents with respiratory conditions move indoors, depends on receiving those signals and acting on them in the minutes to hours window between onset and peak fountaining. During trade wind episodes, 45 rounds of that response have been practiced by the communities southwest of the summit. The communities northeast have not had that practice. Here's the volcanological significance of the north vent being the precursory vent for episode 46, and why it matters for what comes next. Episodes 44 and 45 both showed the north vent fountaining as primary or initial activity. During episode 44, peak fountaining of 625 feet above ground level was recorded from the north vent, with the plume reaching 15,000 feet above sea level and moving north and northeast. During episode 45, fountaining was confirmed primarily from the north vent, reaching a maximum of 900 feet, with the plume moving southwest. Georgia Forestry. Commission. The direction the plume moved in episode 44 was north and northeast, not southwest. Episode 44's plume went toward Hilo, not toward Kona, a trade wind anomaly during that episode that deposited tephra in the north-northeast direction and produced air quality impacts in communities that rarely experienced them. Episode 44 was the anomaly. Episode 46, with weakened trade winds and sea breeze circulation, may not be an anomaly. It may be a new pattern established by atmospheric conditions that the NWS specifically flagged as different. The NWS special weather statement noted, if an eruption occurs, varying levels of ash, Pelly's hair, and other lightweight tephra may fall downwind of the eruption. Smaller particles can travel farther from the eruption site and may affect communities at greater distances. The watcher's communities at greater distances than the 3-mile primary tephra zone around the vents, then the overlooks and the Kilauea military camp and the Volcano Golf Course subdivision that have received the bulk of the tephra in previous episodes. The lighter particles, Pelly's hair, reticulite, fine ash, can travel tens of miles under the right wind conditions. The right wind conditions for episode 46 are not the trade winds that have defined 45 previous episodes. They are the sea breeze pointing northeast toward Hilo. Now pull back to the scale of what this eruption sequence has produced and what episode 46 adds to it. On April 27, 2026, the USGS released a photo compilation of all episodes 1 through 45 of the ongoing eruption at the summit of Kīlauea, a visual record of 16 months of continuous volcanic output from 2 vents inside a single crater. CBS News, 16 months, 45 episodes. The compilation covers episodes whose fountain heights range from a few hundred feet in the earliest events to 1,170 feet during episode 43's South Vent Peak, the tallest confirmed lava fountain in this eruption cycle, and among the tallest in Kilauea's recent recorded history. Each episode of Halemaʻumaʻu lava. Fountaining since December 23, 2024 has lasted from 8 hours to 8 days. Most have lasted 1 day or less. The variability in eruption duration and intensity keeps both scientists and spectators on their toes. CNBC 8 hours to 8 days. Episode 46 could be over by Wednesday morning, or it could still be active next weekend. The tilt meter tells scientists when it starts. The chamber drainage rate tells them when it ends. Nobody knows in advance how much. Magma this particular episode will consume before the reservoir pressure drops below the threshold that sustains the fountain. What is known is that 46 episodes have now been recorded in what the USGS has described as one of the more spectacular eruption cycles in Kilauea's modern record. What is also known, Kīlauea is currently erupting. The United States Geological Survey predicts windows when the next eruptive episode is most likely to occur, and those windows narrow as the episode approaches. Conditions may change quickly. CNBC conditions may change quickly. The tilt meter is at 13, 2 of 16. 0. The north vent has already begun overflowing. The trade winds are weakening. The sea breeze is building. The window is May 4th through 7. Today is May 5th. Episode 46 is not coming. Episode 46 is here. So ask yourself 3 questions. The USGS HVO raised the aviation color code from yellow to orange at 1:50 p.m. on May 4th, after lava began overflowing from the north vent at 1:38 a.m. the same morning. The forecast for main lava fountaining is May 4th through 7. The aviation color code system exists partly to protect commercial aviation from ash cloud encounters. Episode 44 produced a plume that reached 16,000 feet above sea level and moved north and northeast, toward the shipping lanes used by aircraft flying to and from Hilo International Airport. During normal trade wind conditions, that directional risk is minimized because the plume goes southwest. During the weakened trade wind, sea breeze conditions, forecast for Tuesday through Thursday of this week, the plume from episode 46 main fountaining moves northeast, toward the same air corridor. Hilo airport operations have been described as normal as of May 4th. At what tilt meter reading does the USGS brief the FAA on plume direction models for episode 46? And what is the specific threshold at which flight paths into Hilo are adjusted? NPR. The SDH tilt meter at the summit of Kilauea remains offline because the tephra field from prior episodes has buried the access road. The HVO monitoring network is described as mostly recovered from recent power and storm-related outages. The episode 46 forecast is being made from the Wekahuna tilt meter alone. The 4-day forecast window, the precision that the USGS has achieved over 45 episodes, and that has become the operational baseline for community preparedness across the Big Island, was developed using a network of instruments. Episode 46 is arriving during a window of instrument degradation and an atmospheric regime change simultaneously. If the 4-day window narrows to a same-day or same-hour signal because the reduced instrument network cannot detect the onset as early as a full network would, how much warning do the communities northeast of the summit actually have before peak SO2 and tephra output arrive on the sea breeze? Georgia Emergency Management. And if the trade winds that have defined the tephra and VOG corridors for every one of the 45 prior episodes are weakening for the specific 72-hour window when episode 46's main fountaining is forecast, and the NWS has issued a special weather statement explicitly warning that communities at greater distances may be affected by lighter particles traveling farther under the new wind conditions. And Hilo, with 45,000 people, sits northeast of the summit in the direction the sea breeze now points. Who, in Hilo's civil defense infrastructure, made the decision about whether to issue a preparedness advisory for a community that has had 45 episodes to develop a sense that the eruption always goes the other way? Right now, as you read this, lava is overflowing from the north vent of Kilauea's summit. Low-level precursory activity has been ongoing since 1:38 a.m. on May 4th. The aviation color code is orange. The alert level is watch. The forecast window for main fountaining is May 4th through 7. NPR. The Wekahuna tilt meter is recording positive tilt at a consistent rate of 0.05 to 0, 1 microradians per hour. 13. 2 microradians have been recovered since episode 45 ended. 16. 0 are needed before the piston fires in full. Wildfire Explorer. At the rate the chamber is filling, the main episode is hours to a day away. And the wind that has moved every previous episode's output southwest, toward Kona, away from Hilo, into the corridor that has spent 45 episodes building its response protocols, is weakening. The National Weather Service in Honolulu issued a special weather statement. If an eruption occurs, varying levels of ash, Pele's hair, and other lightweight tephra may fall downwind of the eruption. Smaller particles can travel farther from the eruption site and may affect communities at greater distances. Note that trade winds will weaken after today, leading to onshore sea breezes during the day and offshore land breezes at night from Tuesday through Thursday. The watchers. Tuesday through Thursday, the main fountaining window, sea breezes moving northeast. In Hilo, 45,000 people are beginning a Tuesday the way they have begun every Tuesday of this eruption cycle. Most of them aware that Kīlauea is active, most of them accustomed to checking VOG conditions on the southwest side of the island, most of them with 45 data points telling them that the eruption goes the other direction. Episode 46 is the 46th data point. The tilt meter has 8 microradians left to fill. The north vent is already overflowing, the wind has already changed, and the 3 signals that tell the HVO the main fountaining has begun, sustained lava fountaining, a visible plume column, and the rapid drop in tilt meter reading as the chamber drains, are building toward a window when the plume, for the first time in this eruption cycle, may point at a city that has not yet looked up.